We've all heard and seen those ghost hunting shows.
If you could see emotions, you would just see screams.
As I feel pain in my hand as I move the doll with my other hand, I try to communicate with it by using the ovulus.
Come on!
But all of us over the age of 14 know that a lot of this stuff is fake, or at the very least played up a bit for the camera.
Stop it! Stop!
Stop!
But what if I told you there was another show like this that you hadn't seen before? A show where all of this...
He knows that, like, I'm alpha, and he wants to use my power.
Wait till I ask a question. Are you evil? Once for yes, two for no.
Everything's too clear here. The visions are too clear.
didn't happen. That the scenes weren't played up for the camera, they were actually real. I know, you must think I'm crazy. There hasn't been a ghost hunting show where something real actually happened. If there was scientific evidence that ghosts exist, surely you would have heard of it by now. Well, welcome to the video. Because today I'm going to be going over a little known show called Grave Encounters. I know, you've probably never heard of it, and that's exactly why I'm making this video. You see, I found an unaired episode of this incredibly unpopular show, and I'm going to go over it in this video. By the end of it, you'll be questioning the very world around you, if the CGI you see in movies is now real, and why Grave Encounters was quote-unquote canceled in the first place. You're probably wondering why I, of all people, are aware of the existence of Grave Encounters. And the answer is simple. It's the sponsor of the video, Opera. Opera is a browser that has, in all honesty, changed the way that I make videos. If you're like me and you usually have a billion tabs open at the same time, Opera allows you to customize different tab islands. So for me, I have my YouTube island that has my channel and all the information about my channel, and then I have my writing island that has all the upcoming videos I'm working on, a work island where I can find my music and respond to emails, and then my research island. Oh, don't mind that. Speaking of research, let's talk about Aria, Opera's AI. If I need a quick answer for, say, the year that a movie came out, it'll tell me that, along with a ton of other facts that are useful to know, and are different from the results of a normal search engine. Feel the need to be more protected online? Well, Opera's got you covered there too with their free VPN and ad blocker. One feature that I find incredibly cool is that when I switch tabs in the middle of a YouTube video, there will be a mini player of that video that you can drag to where you want it. I don't do a whole ton of these sponsorships, but I genuinely enjoy Opera and have gotten a lot of my friends and family to use it as well, so check it out yourself using the link in the description and you won't be disappointed. Thanks to Opera for sponsoring this video, and now, back to the scary music. Grave Encounters is not only definitive proof that the paranormal exists, but it's a really captivating found footage movie with interesting characters and a concept that blows away most modern horror movies. So grab your camcorders, head over to Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital, and experience definitive proof of the paranormal as we enter the world of Grave Encounters. The opening perfectly explains why you haven't heard of this show, because it was the first season of the show. They had gotten through 5 episodes until tragedy struck. And for those skeptics out there, just listen to this.
Not a frame of this has been doctored. It hasn't been manipulated in any way. This is just raw footage. It's been edited strictly for time.
I really don't know how else to explain this to you, that this is all real, but if you need more proof, oh, you just wait. Since this is unaired footage, we get to see more of the B-roll side of the show, how they themselves didn't really believe in any of this until they did. I imagine that this is probably what most other shows are like, and if we actually got a hold of their more B-roll footage, it would probably be very similar, since those shows are actually fake, and it's pretty cool and unique to see this side of things. Right when they enter the asylum, it seems eerily familiar to the same asylum that I've seen used in a lot of other films and shows, which begs the question, who is the architect for these buildings? What are they hiding? And why do they need so many of these same types of buildings? These are the real questions that we need to be asking here. The crew talks to local experts and the groundskeeper, where we get more information on this place and the hauntings that occur. Lance Preston, aka our Amazon Prime version of Zach Baggins, tells us that this place has more of an intelligent haunting than a residual haunting. Residual hauntings are more like loops of the same event, like somebody stuck in purgatory, but intelligent hauntings are a lot more sinister. People getting pushed off ladders, objects flying around the room, etc. A lot of these interviews come across as really funny, because they are, like how they bribed the groundskeeper who just started working there to say that he has seen a ghost.
I saw a ghost over here. It was really scary.
A ghost on the exterior of the building. Unbelievable.
We learn that Lance himself doesn't actually believe in ghosts at all, and that he's just hoping for some good scares. But then the night comes, and with it comes terror. And for the production value, they actually have the groundskeeper lock the doors and reminds them that all the windows on the first floor are barred. I'd say that this is well acted, well paced, and well written, but remember, this is all 100% real. So the crew starts going around to search for some paranormal activity, and they find absolutely nothing, except for a bunch of rats. At least, they don't find anything from their perspective, but the cameras do catch a few weird things. A window being opened, a wheelchair rolling forward, a door slamming. Now I know what all you skeptics are saying. The wind could have moved it, and that's exactly what my king Lance addresses as he tries to call out to the spirit, to no success. Everyone is very happy to have some good footage for what must be the first time, and they assume that somebody must have broken in and started playing jokes on them, but they don't find anybody else. This is when crazy stuff actually starts happening. Sasha's hair is pulled, and while some of the crew gets thoroughly freaked out, Lance is happy to have finally found something that could put this show on the map. Again, if this wasn't real and it was just a movie, it would be great character insight and motivation for all of them to keep going and doing stupid things after they're scared. Usually in a horror movie, when bad stuff happens, you're yelling at the characters to leave, and you can do that here, but Lance feels it's worth the risk because they've actually found some sort of evidence, and this would sell very well. It's great character motivation, and again makes this concept work so well. Well, I mean, it would be if this was just a movie. They feel they have enough footage to go and leave, but they can't, finding dead end after dead end, and they ultimately can't leave because the door is actually locked shut.
Did you lock the door?
What do you mean? It's great for the show, man. Don't worry about it.
What if I have to get more equipment out the back?
Lance sends Matt to go and get all the cameras, but the radios to each other stop working. So they have to go looking for him, and if they're going, they might as well film it for more footage. But Matt is nowhere to be found. Even when they find all of his equipment, he's missing. So what do they do next?
Let's split up. Do we have to?
And of course it goes wrong for TC when he gets pushed down the stairs by something. Even though there's only about an hour until 6 a.m., TC has had enough and he attempts to break down the door to the outside. With Lance's help, they actually open the door, but find something much more sinister. Another hallway, when another hallway clearly shouldn't be there. At this point, the story takes a much darker turn. There's hallways where there shouldn't be, and when they look at the clock, it says that it's 8:30 in the morning, even though the groundskeeper said he'd be there at 6 a.m. While the easy answer was to just wait in the lobby until the sun rises, that is clearly, for whatever reason, no longer an option. Everything about this place seems to be wrong. Even the food in their cooler has somehow become rotten. With tensions rising and the group seemingly having completely forgotten about Matt at this point, they make their way to the roof because there's a fire escape down the side of the building. While some of the skeptics out there are wondering why they're still using cameras, it's because the cameras still have the lights and the infrared, which is actually incredibly helpful. As for why Lance continues updating the camera, I have absolutely no clue, but I'm assuming he was just hoping this footage would get out to the world, and rest assured, Lance, I am now sharing it with the world now. After hearing some screaming, the group actually remembers Matt and then goes looking for him. Naturally, they stop to sleep because, of course, who cares about Matt?
I do.
Okay.
But then they continue looking for him again, where they finally find the undisputed evidence of a ghost. Now, I'm going to play you the clip, and you skeptics out there can tell me differently after this.
Who are you? How come you're in here?
Now, like I said in the intro, you'll be questioning whether Hollywood uses CGI or not anymore, because this does look like CGI, and kind of bad CGI, but if this is real, what else out there is real too? Now that we're all on the same page about ghosts undeniably existing and how they look like poor CGI, check this out. Through the hours and days that pass, we get some creepier things happen, like scratches on Sasha's back and then the hospital bands appearing on their wrists with their names on them. Eventually, they finally find Matt. Hashtag justice for Matt. But he's gone completely off the deep end, and he's absolutely no help whatsoever. We get another scene of undisputed ghost evidence with the hands coming out of the walls, and the tub full of blood that pulls TC into it, and he disappears. If you're not a believer by this point, I'm not sure what else you need. Or maybe when they finally get to the tunnels and we see the smoke monster take the girl. Or maybe when he eats the rat. Well, that's not really paranormal, that's just disgusting. There seems to be some sort of hint as to what's going on at the end, but we don't truly know what happened and why this place is like this at all. Alas, this is a supremely tragic event, but I felt the need to show it, to tell the story of the Grave Encounters crew, and to prove the existence of paranormal life once and for all. It feels weird to give something like this a rating, but I feel the crew would want to be rightfully judged by their work, so I'm going to give this movie a cool 7.5 out of 10. Now, I paid good money for this, so I hope you guys enjoyed the... Wait a minute, what's this? Grave Encounters 2?
You did.
The movie starts out with a bunch of heroes trying to spread the word about this movie, but most of them are under the impression that it's fake for some reason. But then there's this guy who... Wait, he kind of looks familiar. His name is Alex, and he very much reminds me of myself when I was at film school.
My name is Alex Wright. Future motherfucking genius, baby.
Then we get to see some of his work, and it's actually not that great, which again reminds me of myself at film school. Alex becomes convinced that Grave Encounters is real when somebody in his YouTube comments messages him a clip that seems to be from Grave Encounters, but it wasn't in the movie. He then starts to do his own research about how people who starred in Grave Encounters haven't done anything since the movie. Knowing this to be true, I wanted to do some of my own research, so I went and checked on the actors and they... Wait a minute. No, this can't be. They've all done stuff since Grave Encounters. Even Lance. You mean he's not trapped? How did he get out? Why is his name Sean Rogerson? The second movie has terrible ratings. What about Alex? Oh no, he's that guy from the 100? What can this possibly mean? Are you trying to tell me that this is fake? No. I paid that guy $10,000 for a movie that's free on Tubi?
One eternity later.
Alright, well, as it turns out, Grave Encounters and Grave Encounters 2 really are just movies. So I guess the ghosts with bad CGI really are just bad CGI.
I mean, it's not even a very good movie at that. I mean, look at these special effects.
And apparently lots of people thought that this was fake, and it was just me and Alex, Richard Harmon, who thought it was real. Wait, no, he didn't even think it was real, he's just an actor. Well, I suppose this just turns into a regular movie review now. Anyways, the second movie kinda sucks. It came out only a year after the first one, so it was trying to capitalize on the fact that none of the actors had done anything, which is clever, kinda, but this movie addresses the actor, Sean Rogerson, but in the movie Grave Encounters, he's called Lance. Even when the freaky stuff starts happening, they don't break character and start talking to each other by their real names, so this ultra meta style of movie just doesn't really work. Especially watching the movie in 2024, but even watching it back in 2012, it only barely worked. But I get it, this is a very outside-the-box sequel that they made because they were trying to capitalize on the success of the first one, but the main issue with this film are the characters. While the first one had this crew working on a TV show and all the B-roll and the acting integrated in the movie, and it made it seem really clever, it had characters that actually had motivations and felt real. TC had a wife and daughter, he talked to on the phone, and he was the one who primarily wanted to get out the most. Lance was a character who bit off more than he could chew because he was obsessed with getting more actual footage so that this show would sell. This movie tries to show some behind the scenes of the life of a film school student, but these characters are just stereotypical stupid college kids that movies have shown time and time again, which this movie makes a point to try to want to avoid.
It looks good, I'll give you that, but it's cliche, man. Look, there's a guy in a mask and grill getting tied up. We've seen this before.
The pacing of the movie would be alright if the stuff we're seeing was interesting, but it's just not. It tries its best to keep the facade that all of this is real, but with just a tiny bit of research, anybody can find out that all of this is fake. So, Yeah, it's fake. Alex goes to LA to get an interview with the guy from the first film, where he kicks him off the set, and Alex is like,
He had security kick me out. I mean, he's clearly hiding something.
like, no, dude, you just trespassed onto the set and asked for an interview when the guy's clearly busy. Of course he's gonna kick you off the set. But it turns out he is hiding something after all. Alex also gets messages from a YouTube commenter who tells him to go to this abandoned mental institution where a bunch of people got trapped and died, a place that Alex is convinced that the events of the first movie really happened, and he plans to go and meet this guy in that building at 3 a.m. While I appreciate whenever you guys comment on my videos, I promise you I will never go to meet you in any sort of abandoned building, ever. From here, we get the exact same camera setups and plot from the first movie, with jump scares from the first movie spliced in everywhere. There is the additional thermal camera, which could have been really cool to see and a really great addition, but this is how they use it.
You did.
And since the whole first half of this movie was setting up coming here, basically as soon as they get here, all the scares start instantly, and they're basically all just the same scares as the first film with the exception of 2 of them. They also get surprised when all the hallways start changing and ending abruptly, that wasn't part of the movie that Alex was making everybody obsessively watch. I don't understand why they're so surprised by any of this. The crew starts dropping like flies, but then they do actually make it out of the building, and away from the building, and back to the hotel. This is where we get the best scare in the movie, because when they take the elevator down, it just made them think that they left, and they're all still actually trapped. It was a great subversion of expectations, and in a film full of cheap jump scares, the best scare had nothing jumpy whatsoever. This is when they run into Lance, who's been alive the whole time, and while the first movie came out the year before this one in 2011, they explain that the actual filming of that movie took place in 2003, so he's been here for 9 years. This is when the movie actually gets interesting, because Lance is absolutely insane, but since he's spent so much time here, he knows how the building works, and he says that it's bigger than a city. He has this interactive map, and there's this giant red door that's locked, but they brought bolt cutters, so they go on a mission to find them, where we see more of this building's rules, and how smart Lance is at finding his way around. Sean Rogerson actually puts in a fantastic performance as this crazy guy who's been trapped here for years.
It's been a long time since I've been a camera. Might be a little rusty. Welcome to another episode of Grave. I'm Lance Preston, and welcome to another episode of Grave Encounters.
This portion of the movie actually kind of reminds me of Alan Wake 2, so maybe that's why I liked it so much. And it's honestly a shame that the movie leading up to these parts wasn't all that great, because I actually really liked the movie from this point onward. We also get some insight to this sorta entity in control of the building, quite possibly the same one from earlier in charge of the YouTube comments, which makes me ask the question, how many of you watching this are actually just evil, abandoned asylum spirits? I have a feeling that might be a good portion of my audience, but I don't know. Sean is trying to leave, but the door doesn't lead to anywhere, and this entity tells him to finish the film by collecting the tapes. So, collecting tapes or collecting pages? I feel like this might be where some of the inspiration for Alan Wake 2 came from, but I'm not sure. Lance and Alex have a good old rumble over the ownership of the footage, and it's all very cinematic because there's a bunch of flying cameras now for some reason, and then a portal opens up in the wall and sucks Lance inside. Okay, maybe there was a good 15-minute span of the movie, but then it falls apart again. Alex goes just as crazy as Lance, kills the girl, and escapes through the door that leads to the middle of the desert somewhere. Then at the end, we see the director and producer telling the audience what I already figured out for myself, that it was all 100% fake. Alex tells us not to go looking for the asylum, but then there's the coordinates for it at the end. And I also got this strange YouTube comment from somebody asking me to come and meet up with them. So I took a plane and, come on guys, I'm not that stupid. This is a pretty messy movie. I think the foundation of the story is there, but with its cheap scares, horrible characters, even the man himself, Lance Preston, can't really save it. However, I actually enjoyed watching it. It's dumb fun, so I'm gonna give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. Overall, I think this is a fun horror duology. I remember watching the first one on Netflix right when Netflix became a streaming service and not a DVD rental service. It was one of the only horror movies on there, and I think that's why it gained such a cult following. I do genuinely think it's a great concept for a horror movie, and I thought that the first one was executed very well. The second one gets really messy with its attempts in trying to be ultra meta, but I still don't think it's nearly as bad as the ratings suggest. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. Special thanks to my channel members. Let me know what other videos like this that you'd want to see me make, found footage horror, or just other horror movies. Feel free to let me know. Subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Yeah.